I like that. My name is Cleve Corner. I'm the new manager of author and speaker engagement at the Pratt Free Library. It's great to make everyone's acquaintance. I've been here about 3 months. This is our final program of our abbreviated summer series. Thank you all for coming out. If you get a chance on your way out, our September-October series flyers are out there. Grab it, take a look. I promise there's something great there for you. Little housekeeping for this evening. Number one, if you could do me a favor and silence your phones. Second point of business, Dee is more than happy to sign and personalize your books. He is on a long book tour and has several events coming up this week. So we've asked to try to keep it as contactless as possible. So no hugs, sorry. And no photos, but he'll be more than happy to sign and personalize your books after this is over. There are audience mics to the end of the aisles. We ask that during the question and answer session that you please use the microphones. We have several people that are watching us online. Hello. And they won't be able to hear unless you come to the mic. Finally, our book-selling partner, Charm City Books, is outdoors. Please go out, buy a book, support a local Baltimore business. You can't have your library book signed, but you can. I was waiting for the laughter because that's worked 3 out of 5 events. So thanks for ending this strong for me. And with that said, Dee Watkins is the author of several books, including The Cook-Up, The B-Side, We Speak for Ourselves, and Where Tomorrows Aren't Promised with Carmelo Anthony. He is an editor-at-large for Salon and a University of Baltimore lecturer. Tonight he joins us to discuss his latest book, Black Boy Smile. In it, he recounts his childhood and formative years in East Baltimore, as well as his thoughts on identity, toxic masculinity, and the emotional lives of Black men. In his review of the book, best-selling author and the Library of Congress's National Ambassador for Young People's Literature, Jason Reynolds wrote, "A smile isn't a thing that appears on the face in a flash. It's more of a gradual lift that starts from an unseen place. What Watkins does here is courageously chronicle that lift. This is, no doubt, an origin story for the ages." Critically acclaimed poet Nikki Giovanni called Black Boy Smile another important look at growing up. Watkins has shown what courage means despite fear. This is a book all young men should read. This evening, he'll be joined in conversation by Pratt Free Library President and CEO Heidi Daniel, who designated Black Boy Smile as the inaugural selection for her CEO book club. It's my pleasure to introduce Dee Watkins, Heidi Daniel.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Dee.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Thanks for being here today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah,
thank you guys for coming out.
Yes, thank you to all of you for coming out. I'm delighted to have you here for this first CEO book club and was so excited to choose your book, which I loved reading. I want to start by talking about the title.
It's a disgruntled fan.
Already me, disgruntled fans, yeah. It happens. I want to start by talking about the title of your book, Black Boy Smiles. You give a glimpse to why you chose that title in your first chapter, The Lie. Can you talk a little bit about the title and why you chose it?
So the book was actually supposed to be called Smile, but 2022 publishing industry, authors are pushed into boxes that they feel like they can market and sell. I got some wins from the publishing company, and I had to give too. And part of me was given that, but it didn't really bother me a lot because Black Boy and Native Son by Richard Wright were 2 of my favorite books. So it didn't really bother me calling it Black Boy Smile, but that's kind of like the story behind the title. I wanted the book to be called Smile, but and then Black Boy Smile has grown on me, so I'm thankful that I lost that fight.
Gotcha.
Sometimes it's good to lose. Sometimes it's good to lose, because people can see things that you can't always see, so it works out.
Yeah, interesting. You start the book with a letter to your daughter, Cross.
It's the person that was just screaming at me.
Yeah, your disgruntled fan. Maybe asked permission first before you put her in the book. And you end the book with a day you spend with Cross. How is parenthood changing how you write a memoir, and what inspires you by parenthood, and how do you think about what you're writing differently, if you do think about it differently?
Parenthood. Hi, Crossy.
We're just talking about you.
Parenthood taught me how to not be childish. It taught me how to not act like it. As adults, sometimes we don't realize how much we act like children. And I'll give you a quick example. One day I was changing this amazing young lady right here, and there's like a balance between the changing table and the bathroom. And my wife makes sure I wash my hands 57 times a day. Now, changing our daughter, then she wants me to keep my hands in water for at least 12 hours before I actually change her, right? And I listen, right? I'm not a child, right? So I thought, so I listened. So this particular time, I do everything perfect. I wash my hands, I get the sanitizer, I got her clothes laid out, I change her, everything's tight, everything's good. I smell something. What does that smell? It's my index finger and my middle finger covered with my child's feces. And that I've just transferred over to her clothes now, right? So I get all the clothes off and I get them in the dirty clothes and I leave her on the changing table, but I hurry up and I get to the bathroom and I clean my hands and more sanitizer and I run the tub and I do everything perfect. My wife walks in the room. You put the pamper on wrong. So this is what I mean when I talk about childish. I'm upset. I'm like, well, why do you think I can't put the pamper on? I've changed her diaper 1,000 times. There were plenty of times when you weren't here and and she was good, right? You didn't see droppings all over the house. It's because I know how to put a diaper on. And being a parent is about taking that situation and stepping back and saying that your wife does know that you care, just like you know that she cares. She's not trying to say that you don't care by telling you don't know how to put on a diaper. She's just saying, put the diaper on right. And that is what I learned, and this is how small little disagreements between, couples sometimes turn into big things, because sometimes we think that the other person don't care, when in actuality, we both care so much that we get upset if we feel like the other person thinks that we don't. And learning that has made me a better person, a better husband, a better father. And it was just transformative in how I gauge, not just personal relationships, but how I treat people or how I respond to people in general. Because we have to pay attention and listen and understand where others are coming from. Yeah. So that was like the biggest thing with fatherhood. And I learned how to change diapers, but it was kind of late because she was on the pull-ups.
It is harder than you think it's going to be to change diaper. I mean, it's, complicated. There's a lot of things. So,
it doesn't come with directions.
Yeah.
It's like an iPhone. It doesn't come with directions.
Right. Exactly. I'm wondering though, do you think about what your daughter will think about when she reads your books when you're older? Will you let her or encourage her to read your writing when she's older? And does it change the stories you share?
This is something that, as parents, and I'm pretty sure anyone in this room who chose to raise a person with another person, sure this happens. I'm willing to let my daughter read anything. I'm willing to let her watch anything, because I'm just not into hiding the world. You know, if I knew that, I'm trying to think of like the most gory, disgusting, scary book. What is the most scary, gory, disgusting book?
So I'm trying to think. I mean, honestly, like I am pretty low tolerance, so I think of a lot of Stephen King books.
I thought
Are
you were gonna
pretty
say, like, the
gory,
Bible.
right? Like, well, the Bible's actually pretty gory. That's a good point.
But if I knew these kinds of, you know, if
Yeah.
I knew you can get this kind of information and, you know, these kinds of stories and these things from books, then I would have been a reader early on. But
True. Yeah.
I didn't know, so I wasn't a reader. So I'm willing to let her read all of my books, except all of my writing, except for the stuff that I think is terrible.
Oh, okay.
'Cause I would hate for her to, like, you know, be on like FaceTime. I'm like, hey, he's not that good. Because
Yeah. So I think your writing is so deeply personal in all of your memoirs, and you find these stories and share them with such courage. How do you find the bravery you need to be so honest and open about events in your life that have shaped you? And how do you determine which ones to share with us in your writing? And do you feel that there are some that you hold back intentionally?
Thank you for that. I'm learning to hold back less, and I think it comes with growing up in this industry, becoming more self-aware, understanding life more, understanding the impact that the good things and the bad things that you've done or been a part of, the impact that these things can have on other people. So I think I don't know what my future is in memoir. I have no interest in telling personal stories about myself anymore after this, because I felt like I said what I needed to say, and obviously I'll have different experiences, but I only have so much bandwidth, and there's like a lot of other things I want to write about too.
Right. Yeah. Your books are also very much focused on Baltimore, all of the sides of Baltimore. In fact, 5 years ago when I was moving to Baltimore, you were one of the writers I get to know a city through its writers. So you were one of the writers I sat down and read before I moved here. And I'm just curious, when you're writing about Baltimore, are you thinking about how those individuals outside of Baltimore might read your books and view the city? Or are you more focused on how you can provide inspiration to those of us who live here?
You know, I just think about it's a story.
Yeah.
I just think about the story.
Fair.
The city is going to be a character because this is where I've spent my whole life. I've been here 2,000 years. And the city is always going to be a character. Even as I work in you know, in different ways of storytelling. I did podcasts about Baltimore. I've written articles about Baltimore. I've written books that have taken place in Baltimore. I've worked on a television show in Baltimore. I've sold television shows that take place in Baltimore. Like I've written books for other people that took place in Baltimore. So like, it's always a character, and it's always in my heart. But I try my best. You know, Baltimore is a legitimate, significant part of who I am. Right. I would never exploit or use the city to make myself look like I'm connected in a way that I'm not. Like you'll never see me on the internet all day talking about Baltimore this, Baltimore that, Baltimore this, Baltimore that, because it's just where I'm from and where I live. I don't need the city's reputation or history or ups and downs to validate myself. I don't think it's healthy. And I think a lot of times when you are from here, or the people who have connected with my work has been people who like a good story.
Yeah.
They like a good story. Baltimore's become this place like an easy springboard for, like, you know, for art and journalism and clout and a name and stuff like that. And it's disheartening to residents, people who are from here, who love this place.
So you are first and foremost a storyteller. I think your books clearly show that you're a gifted storyteller. How was it different to write for TV? You recently were writing for We Own This City, right? And so how was it different to write between books and storytelling in the book format and storytelling in a TV format?
It's beautiful. Writing for television is beautiful because you get a chance to collaborate with other artists and thinking people. And sometimes you don't agree with them.
Yeah.
And sometimes they don't agree with you. And sometimes you take all of those disagreements and you put together something that you can be proud of. And then the lawyer for the network comes and changes it. So, but it was great because I see this story through a lens, right? David Simon and Ed Burns and George Pelicanos, and Bill Zorzi have a lens. And Justin Fenton, being a reporter who worked on the story and put a book out, has a lens. And we all have things that we agree with and things that we didn't agree with. And I just think it was the best representation of what this country is. It is a bunch of people with their own ideas, and we mash them together and we try to make them work. So in the end, nobody was happy. There were people, there's cops who love the show and cops who hate the show. There's activists who love the show and activists who hate the show. There's people who actually dealt with the Gun Trace Task Force who love the show, and there's people who can't stand it. And everybody's right because everybody has their perspective. And as artists and storytellers, it's our job to, give you moments where you're like, oh my God, I feel it. And then give you moments where you're like, nah, I'm not feeling that. And that's what art is, because either way, we're forcing people to have tough conversations.
Definitely. And I think that show definitely forced people to have those tough conversations. I mean, we all watched it, but we also all were uncomfortable watching it maybe simultaneously. So you guys accomplished that goal. And I think it's great that you were a part of it. I just wondered if was it hard to write something that is so immediate to the city, or was it just more storytelling?
I mean, on a couple different layers. I'm from here. I lived it. I've connected people who lived it to the actual show to be able to work on it and participate in storytelling and make money from it. And we were able to hire over 5,000 people from Baltimore to do things in front of the camera and behind the camera. And some of them are in the union now, and some of them are working on their next project. And some of them had their music licensed. And I don't really think people fully understand what this is. You can come to a town and do a show and totally ignore the people in that town. It happens all of the time. I'm not trying to take no shot at no artist or nothing like that, but I'm going to tell you something from a real conversation. This is a real conversation. Yo, I had a song that nobody ever listened to, and I got to license it for like $5,000. And I'm like, damn, I should have been in the studio. I should have been like dollar on dollar. Like, I should have put something together. But this is how you stimulate a community of creatives. And this is real too. Some people, like I said, some people took that opportunity and they spent it into the next thing. And then some people, it was a one-off for them, and they didn't. But the thing is that we took something and we put it there, and people actually benefit off of it. They benefited off of it and they loved it. And I'm so happy I got a part to do that. And that's the most important part for me across the board. Would the show look different if it was all mine? Absolutely. But it wasn't mine. But I was extremely happy to be on a team and to claim it. We worked hard on it. I'm really proud of it.
Yeah, and you should be proud of getting all those people connected to the show too. I think that's amazing and awesome. So congrats. One of the themes, I have one last question about your work, and then I want to ask you about what inspires you. But my last question about your work is, I think in all of your books, there's an element of healing in all of them. And we're coming out of a time where not just our city, but the whole country is having to reconcile with a lot of trauma. What do you have to say about healing to the communities and to the people who are suffering from trauma, similar to what you talk about in your books?
I would say that healing is something that you will be doing for the rest of your life. Like, there's no happy ending where everything goes away. Good relationships, good friendships, what happens in families, these are things that you constantly work on and contribute to and nurture every day. I think a lot of times we're just like, in this country especially, we are like kind of raised to think that there's like a goal, and she worked hard and she finished the program and she got the job and she got the husband and they got the family and they got the dog and the picket fence and no, because the husband feet might stink.
Right.
The dog may have chewed her best pair of shoes up.
Right.
The kids might be, not your favorite kids. Like, and it doesn't mean you get rid of them. It means you invest and you work at it and you figure it out and you have conversations and you love and you build and you grow, and it's totally fine. A lot of people seem like they have it all figured out, but that's not reality. None of us have it all figured out. We're all a work in progress in some way or another, and it's totally fine. Things that I believed in 5 years ago, I don't believe in now. Things I really was, people who I was really inspired by 3 months ago, like, I'm not inspired by them anymore. You know what I'm saying? And we're still growing, and it's totally fine. And I think right now, with the way things are happening right now, we're expecting everyone to be right all of the time, and we're not giving people a chance to grow or any space to grow. We're expecting everyone to have the right answer for what's socially correct and politically correct and what's supposed to happen instantly all of the time, and not giving people that space to learn and understand and grow a little bit. And I think it's dangerous, and I hope we can move past that and have empathy for those of us who are still learning, because it's all of us.
Yeah.
It's everybody.
Yeah, absolutely true. We're all on the journey and we're all changing, hopefully, and growing. You talk in your book, one of your chapters to me felt like sort of a love letter to reading, and you actually say that reading sort of taught you how to love. So tell us, how did that happen? How did you end up loving reading and coming to be such a deep reader and love books so much?
So the main thing that reading has done for me is it has made me more self-aware. And I was not self-aware at all, like the least self-aware person you ever met. Because I just didn't think anything I would say or do had an impact on people, and reading changed that, because it forced me to imagine realities that weren't my own. Yeah. And that transferred into relationships and how I treated people in the world. The first book for me was the coldest one ever, and it was given to me by a nurse when I was in the hospital, and I was trying to get her phone number, and she didn't give it to me. However, she gave me the book, and it changed my life, because it made me understand that you can write about an urban experience in a book. And I'm looking at the cover, and it's like 1 million copies in print, and I'm like, damn, like 1 million. You know what I mean? Like it was just such a big, ridiculous number to me. And it was talking about an experience that I knew, but I didn't think the world had an interest in. And that led to me reading more books and more books and more books. And the more I read, the more self-aware I became, the more I thought about my place in this world, how I got here. How did my parents end up being the people who they were, and then who raised them? And it helps you, you're less hard on sometimes when people make mistakes and we all have a tendency to be critical, you're less critical when you understand how the world works and made these realities and these things happen. And I think reading did that for me, and it still does it. I'm still learning new realities. I'm still learning different experiences. I'm still being transformed, and I'm fortunate enough that I get that.
So it's scientifically proven that reading makes you more empathetic and more understanding of other people in general. So I encourage all of you, if you're not readers, to become, I'm assuming you are sitting here, but
I didn't know that.
Scientifically, people become more empathetic. And it's because of that very thing, right? You not only can you find books in which you can hopefully see yourself reflected, but you also get to see and understand other people's experiences. And it's something that can bridge us all together. So what are you reading right now? Can you share?
Yeah, right now, other than my own articles for work,
Right.
I just wrote an article about George Jetson's birthday.
Really?
Because George apparently George Jefferson's birthday is July 31st, 2020. So George Jetson, not George Jetson, not Jefferson, not the Jetsons.
The Jetsons with the robot maid, and
the Jetsons, Jetsons. So I just wrote an article about that show and its impact, and like how wow it is that you can imagine, and it was debuted in the 60s, but you can imagine that the year 2062, a world without Black people. It's like crazy. Like someone could make an argument for the Flintstones and be like, all right, that was before slavery, right? You can make that argument. I mean, it's supposed, you can make that argument, but what is the Jetsons excuse? Like, come on, Space Lee, you know what I mean? So, I just, I'm reading a whole lot of screenplays because I'm preparing to work on another show. I just finished Deacon King Kong.
Oh yeah.
Which was the balance of dealing with so many characters was just amazing. So I just downloaded Justman's War, new Amazon original.
Oh, Justman Ward's really?
Yeah. I don't know if it's I don't know, like she has been putting out these short pieces on like Amazon and Audible. So I just downloaded that and I'm looking forward to that.
What are you reading with Cross?
Cross has so many books. And it's funny because I'm not gonna say it. My wife explores more. So she reads different books to Cross all of the time. I've been reading like the same 3 or 4 books to her. Mary Had a Little Glam, Hair Love, one of them awful books about Kamala Harris children's books. I know it's better than the Ivanka Trump children's book, but they all make them. But it's funny because I read to her so much more over the pandemic, and a lot of times I would read whatever I was working on, or I would read stuff that was, not connected to anything a child would really know or understand. And I thought it was good, but then it's different now because you don't have as much time. You don't have the luxury. And I'm saying this because you saw her in action. She's 2 years old and she kind of wants what she wants when she wants it. The cutest thing happened the other night is she kept giving me the same 3 books to read over and over again, but it's not because she loved them. It's because she didn't want to go to bed.
Yeah.
So she's like, here, this one. But the beauty of it is she has stacks of books this high on every floor of our house, and she will not know a world without books. It is already like a big part of her existence and her reality, and I'm extremely proud of that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, we are about to turn to Q&A from the audience, but before we do, is there anything else that you would like to share with us before we get to audience questions?
No, I just want to thank everybody for, for coming out, and if I can answer any question, I'm, excited to do so.
Yeah.
If you do have a question, please come to this microphone or to the microphone where my colleague is standing. And D, to start the questions, I do have one from our virtual audience. How can we encourage more young Black boys to read, or encourage them not to be afraid to read?
I think that's a yo. Okay, shout out to Miles. Shout out to Miles, great young filmmaker. I think at the end of the day, it's all about meeting people where they are. If a kid loves basketball, then there's a whole lot of books about basketball that are great. You could put them in front of them. If a kid loves making music, there's so many books about becoming a musician, about famous musicians, about musicians from different eras, and then there's also countless articles. So you have to find things that directly speak to young people and put those things in front of them, and it gets them used to actually doing the labor of reading, and it works. It works.
I also just want to give a shout out to role modeling, because I think it's really important for young men and to see other men reading. And so when you were our author for One Book Baltimore, we were all really excited for kids in schools to be able to meet you and talk to you and see you and know that writing was a career and that it was, viable. And so I also do think that role modeling and the work you do is important too, because it, makes it seem cooler, for lack of a better term. So.
Yeah, I before the pandemic, I spent so much time in schools, and I think I'm still getting messages and emails to this day from people. You the only author I ever met. You came to my class, and I'm happy that those visits were impactful. And always have challenged other authors to do so, but I definitely think we need more. I don't want to be the only one. I'm thankful that I got a chance to do that, but I want to be part of, a collection of writers and creatives and artists who are engaging young people and trying to get them to dream and to dream outside of whatever reality is in front of them, to chase the things they want and flourish. I'm always excited about that.
Excellent.
Me? Yeah. Hi, Dee. Really great to see you.
Hey, what's happening? How you doing?
I'm doing okay. So my name is David Lids, and I'm here with a couple of my colleagues from Park Heights. We have a construction business where we have specialized in working on foreclosures for a lot of years. And we decided as a business to stop working for people that don't give a shit about the communities and to start buying the houses ourselves. All that to say, we have a construction company that now owns houses in Park Circle, the workers themselves, and we are distributing equity to the tenants. So we're trying to gentrify that block, but keep wealth in. Point I'm getting at is we have a wide open door for folks to come in and pick up a hammer. Your story and the messages I got, which is a story of change, and you realizing you going through a transformation that involved a lot of work and a lot of self-examination and a lot of pain. So the door is wide open, but people don't come and they don't stay. And I understand there's just so much trauma, that comes through our doors. So what you just said, I think that is a brilliant idea. We would love to have you come down. I'm going to buy 5 books today because we have a little men's circle that meets on Monday and Friday and Wednesday mornings. And there's 5 of us. And we're going to start with the cook-up.
No, I'll come for sure. I'll come for sure.
And then if we could get more artists, and if we can find a way to talk to the young men who are in the block over pursuing a different form of entrepreneurialism, to tell them, we have hammers you can swing and you don't have to do that. Maybe you can help us.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
Just because, sometimes, and I'm glad, I'm honored, thank you for coming and thank you for inviting me. And I feel like a lot of times, we do get discouraged when we find something that can help people and people don't come. Sometimes it makes you feel like what am I doing it for? But please don't stop. It's extremely necessary. I had a student that I mentored and I mentored. And one of my biggest mistakes was getting upset at him not doing what I think he should do because I was spending my time as if he didn't have his own realities and things that he was dealing with on his own. So it wasn't really about me. It was more about, me being that person that I needed to be at that particular time. But you never know who's watching. You never know who's gonna be the person that is gonna come and they're gonna lock in and they're gonna spread what you're doing and take it, to the next level. But yeah, definitely, I'll get your information before I leave, and I'll pull up and we can rap about whatever. I'll try to bring other artists, but I can only guarantee myself.
All right, that is a huge win. That is a huge win right there. I'm really honored. Thank you. Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Well, yeah, let's alternate sides just for.
So thank you for your artistry. Thank you for coming and for this talk. What do you do to combat, I guess, creative blocks? And also, what do you look forward to writing about? And I guess it's a three-part question. How do you stay inspired? Like, how do you stay inspired amidst trauma and ongoing healing?
Thank you for that. I work on multiple projects at a time. So if I'm like burnt out on one, I just go to the next one. It's not as difficult as it sounds. As a creative, you have the opportunity to have multiple worlds. A book is one world. A screenplay is a different world. Another screenplay is a different world. And just because one isn't really clicking, like I just finished. Wow, this is probably being recorded. I just finished writing a terrible film. But it's a job, it's work, and it's the kind of things that like people would probably want to see because there's a lot of street brawls and like muscles and like lead pipes and alligators. So it's like it's something. It's like, oh, did you see that new? It's gonna be that if it ever gets made, which is another thing. You can work on, with these books. If I write a book, there's like 9 out of 10 chance it's gonna be published. If I'm new, I'm moving into television, and I've written plenty of scripts that will never see the light of day. But you just have to keep appreciating the luxury to dance in these different worlds. And that's what it's about. As far as like trauma and all of that, I appreciate pain. I appreciate all of the negative things that happened to me and all of the negative things I participated in, because I would not be able to enjoy my family and my life and my success if I didn't have bad things to compare it to. So pain and trauma has made me extremely humble and has made me very grateful and very thankful. And it's necessary. We talk about these stress-free, drama-free, trauma-free lives, and it's just not. It's not a trauma. Something we all have in common. It's just that my trauma is not your trauma or your trauma or your trauma. It's different, but we all have things that we've been through, and we need those things. We need those things to be able to appreciate when good things happen, in my opinion.
Hey, how you doing?
How you doing, bro?
I'm a part of the Appalachian Field Service. This gentleman, he introduced me to you 2 days ago, and this morning, every Monday and Wednesday, we have a men's group before we work, and we remodel homes. As an ex-incarcerated inmate. I've done 16 years in here. It'll be 3 years I've been with this company, and he introduced me today. And for the first time, I saw a narrative of your book this morning during our meeting, the bully, the liar, shall I say. And my issues is that, and my understanding is that, to come home after being incarcerated for so long, society has a way of looking at you, a way they expect you to be, a way they think you should be, the way you used to be. And like with this company that I've been with, they allow me to be who I am. And when he introduced me to your book, it's so many things that, and I'm not from Baltimore, I'm from Connecticut. I'm from New Haven, Connecticut. And to be here with no family and to have that difference, but to be able to connect with that and have that understanding, it's been very difficult because everyone has that expectation. Society sees you the way you are, who you are, but being different or being who you are and not being allowed to, I have to live a lie. For example, your book, Living a Lie with the Bully. There's bullies in every situation of our lives, whether it's relationships or what have you. But I have to live a lie in order to accept what society has for me. This is what society expects, but that's not me. And read it for the first time, hearing that narrative, it brought me an interest. And the movie was one of our houses on Hilldale. It was one of our homes that I built, which was great. I've had the opportunity after being an incarcerated man, which has been awesome, learning how to do these things. And it's been an encouragement to me because I try to bring brothers with me. But as he says, they come, they go, they don't want to, because they don't have that grounding, because they don't know who they truly are, and they don't know what they're capable of. And they're living a lie because society wants them to live this way, and they can't live up to that. And it's been an awesome thing meeting you tonight. I thank you, David, for introducing me to you. And there's one more question. When you did this movie, when you did part of this movie, were you allowed your own truth without having to change to satisfy or, what they appreciate of you? Were you able to allow to give your whole truth just as you did in your book?
Thank you for that, and congratulations on the 3 years out. Nobody's full vision is going to make it into a mini series, because after you fight the people in the writer's room, your peers, then you fight, other executives. And after you fight them, then you got to, everything gets vetted by lawyers. And then after you even get past the lawyers, who you think is like the biggest people to get past, there's like the actors, because the actors, like, I see this character, you can be like, yo, I know the character, his name is Billy and he lives right here. You know what? I'm Billy. Billy can't be Billy. David Simon said this is like a joke, but it's like a funny joke for him because he said it to a couple of different actors. But he told me to write myself into a scene, and then was gonna cast somebody else to play it, because he's like, there's no way you can play yourself. You're just like, D. Watkins. It's a funny joke for him, but he'll definitely it definitely has happened on different occasions. But they also use a lot of real people to play themselves too. But no, it is your truth, but it's like a collective. So some of the things you're really going to be into, and some of the things it's not. But I also I just always want to let people know that I'm brand new and I'm learning and I'm a student and I move as a student. I don't move as a person that has mastered any of these industries. My writing career is still new. I'm still a new writer. I'm be 7 books in this year. This is number 5, and then the art book. Not talking about books I like wrote essays for and stuff like that, but as far as like books that that are published that I did the bulk of the work on, I'll be at 6 in November and then 7 next year. So, and I'm still brand new. I'm still learning. I'm still becoming a better writer. I'm still meeting writers that are blowing my mind and making me see the world in different ways. I'm still, right here in comparison to some of my peers because they got 20 years in, and it's nothing. And it's nothing. That's the game. So.
You're not going to change who you are. You're not going to change your truth because
no,
you need to be.
Absolutely not. Because, and that's what makes you special. That's what makes her special. That's what makes her special. That's what makes we all are our own people. Yeah. Thank you. My man, Tough T.
What's going on?
My man, Tough T.
Man, I ain't gonna give you no critical question. You know that. The thing is, I want to know, like you transforming over to the television. Right now, I think you got to master it. Like you said, you only get ready to be 6, 7 books in, but by you going to television, are you going to stay with just authentic? Because by you doing We Own the City, that's speaking the truth about what happened. Or when you go to tell television, or you know what I mean, or you just want everything be authentic, nothing but the truth. I mean, either way, you know what I'm saying. How you plan on doing that? What you got next? What you want to do?
If you think about so this is an actor. He did a great job in We Own the City. He made great music. He was really, really influential on the project. Good brother. And this is like just a question. I'm gonna answer your question kind of with a question. You as an actor, right? As you wear multiple hats as an artist because you're an actor, but you're a musician as well. These 2 different mediums, they serve 2 different things. Music makes you feel one way, and acting makes you feel a different way. So if I'm making Baltimore stories, I'm not making a cop story because I don't have any interest in cops. You know what I'm saying? I might make a love story, but then I might not want to make love stories because I might not have any interest in telling. If I told 2 good love stories, I might not have an interest in that. Then I might want to tell a story about somebody from Baltimore who wants to who hit the Mega Million, and I might and then have them spiral backwards from what happens after they cash that check. And you're authentic in all of these different things, but you're telling them in different ways. I really appreciate a lot of the stories, movies, television, books, and films that came out about this city, but none of these things are things that I think about when I think about creating. So I'm super hungry to try to figure out. Yeah, but it's authentic, but it's just rooted in all of the shows that we saw, or all of the art that we saw that came out of this city. Everybody is gonna see it in a different way. And when you get in the driver's seat, it's still gonna be authentic, but it's gonna be from a different perspective, which is cool. Yeah, and I'm working with you.
Good evening.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm Mrs. Gordon,
Nice to meet you.
a senior, and I wanted to thank you and congratulate you for sticking to your guns. And I don't mean that in a literal sense. The point I want to make is that you were exposed to whatever in the past, and you were able to pull yourself up and make good. And I think you are very intelligent. And
Thank you.
I heard you on the radio when you said you didn't want your daughter, you were concerned that she would learn that you did drugs. Well, you had a disadvantage of being Black and in a neighborhood. That was the disadvantage. But I think you were so clever that you were able to see that you could do better. And that's the problem. It's the same thing with this gentleman. Many Black people are incarcerated. And later on, it's found that maybe they didn't commit that crime. They didn't do what they were accused of doing. And there are many investigations and the Innocent Project that proves that they are wrong. So then there are investigations about that. So you can't really look at those causes. I too happen to be of an immigrant, and even though I have lived here for almost 48 years, I still have to prove who I am. I have no record or no criminal record. My slate is clean, and I'm still being treated like an outcast. So that's because of the racist problems, the racism that exists. So there you are. Congratulations.
Thank
Keep
you.
doing what you're doing. I am so proud of you. There you go.
Thank you. And for people watching online, special shout out to the Innocence Project. My cousin Ronald Cox's case just got pushed through, so they're in the process of looking at it. He's been sitting for 15 years for a crime that he did not commit. So if you get a chance, look up Ronald Cox versus State of Maryland. Read how terrible the case is and how it makes no sense. And remember that, because it's definitely they're doing amazing work, and they're freeing a whole lot of people who deserve it. Because these police officers are out of control. The system is out of control. Fix the whole system.
So I'm just going to make one announcement, which is that we have time for 2 more quick questions before signing at the end of today's program. All right.
I can answer them. I can be quick. I'll be quick. I can answer them all and be quick since everybody's already standing up. But since everybody's standing up, you know what I mean? I won't be, I know, sorry, I'll be taking 40 minutes. My bad.
We'll take, yeah.
Sorry about that. My bad, bro.
You're fine. Good evening.
Good evening.
Now, I'm a self-published author. I self-published about 2 years ago, and I published 4 books. And so far, they're doing great in the top 10,000 bestseller of horror genre. Maryland Massacre 1 through 3 is a trilogy, and a spinoff came out last month called Maryland Ouija Boys. Now, I want to work on films now that there's like a bridge between books and film. How do you cross that bridge?
So for me, there's a couple of different ways. The quickest way to do it is to work on set. Now they're making a television show right now in Baltimore called The Lady in the Lake, based on Laura Lippman's book, and they are hiring. Follow Bird, the director, on Instagram, and follow Thea Washington Casting.
I'm very familiar with her.
Okay, so the quickest way is to get on set, and the entryway on set is PA work, and every PA gets asked the same question at the end of the shoot, and it's somebody watching how you move, watching how you work, saying, what do you want to do next? That's one way of entrance into building them relationships to be able to make film. The other way is if you are going to be a person who is going to be talent, like in front of the camera, it's the same thing. You have proximity to people making decisions, then you can figure it out. What I'm doing right now, or my entryway has come through journalism. Stories and books that I've written have been noticed by people who make film and television who wanted my input on what I was trying to do. So that was my point. But I was going away from, like, the first film I worked on. Actually, I worked on a terrible film like before. It was so bad that I think it was so bad. I only think Amazon Prime will show it. But but sorry, I know I said I'm not going to take a long time to answer the question. But so long story short, the first films I worked on came from being a journalist and people wanting me to consult or to get that track that I've got from reporting. But if I worked on set as a PA in one of these films like Swagger that they're shooting in DC right now, like Lady in the Lake that they're shooting in Baltimore right now, then I would have been able to get there quicker. So that's the quickest way, is to get in front of them people, and then you can connect and build with them.
Thank you, appreciate it.
I guess it's my turn. So obviously you know who I am, I'm a filmmaker. So how do we make sure that Baltimore stories are being told by people in Baltimore and not somebody? Because like for me, I think I wanted to say like Charm City Kings, if you've ever watched it, I really wouldn't watch it if you haven't. It's a terrible film. I was talking about it with somebody earlier, and I was just saying that like it's a terrible film because it's somebody that can't. I feel like it's somebody that came here that's not from here that's trying to tell our stories, and that's kind of why I do what I do, because like, you know what I mean. So how do we make sure that the people who are from here
are you ready? Are you ready for that? Do you want this answer? Do you really want this answer?
I guess so.
I'm gonna give you a hard truth. You can't. But you know what you can do? You can make the best products possible. There's a whole lot of people that write things or give commentary about this city, right? But they're not gonna write things or create the kind of commentary that you're gonna get from some of the people who you already connected with, because you already know the difference. And what matters is you creating the best art. You make the best films. You make the best product. You tell the story the way the story needs to be told. And as long as you are doing that, you are doing what you're supposed to do. And people will they'll be able to tell the difference between what's phony and what's real. Like I said, I think anybody can tell their experience about anywhere, but when you try to tell a city or a people's story without having direct connections to them people, okay, the movie you just named, right? People don't even talk about it. So there you go. You see what I'm saying? People know, they know what's up. Like they know the difference. They know the difference. So just make sure you're doing what you got to do at the highest level at all times. And we'll have somebody to go to that's telling our story the way it's supposed to be told.
Thank you.
Good evening. How are you?
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. My question was basically about when you were writing your memoir, because I've been wanting to write a book about myself for quite some time because I got a story to tell pretty much. And I just don't know where to start. How did you like pretty much know where to start? Like I got a whole bunch of ideas, but I don't know like where to start and what exact ones I want to tell.
So think about the most transformative moments of your life. Think about the things that made you you. You started out thinking and moving this way, and then this situation happened to you, and now you think and move this way, right? Like, for example, let's just say I walk out into the street and get smacked by a car. That is a transformative moment for me, because at first I would just walk in the street and I wouldn't pay attention, but now I look this way, I look that way, I look this way and that way again, right? So now I have that bad experience and I survived it, and now I want to talk about how I have been transformed from that experience. So it doesn't necessarily have to be something bad. It can be something good, but you always want to focus on that transformative moment, because what's inside of those transformative moments is something that you call a universal truth. In memoir, people want universal truths, and universal truths are those things that connect us all. Like the way this brother who was saying that there were certain elements of the book that resonated with him, right? These are universal truths. These are because he saw things in my journey that was directly connected to his. That is why he is like, okay, wow, well, I'm gonna tap in with something else that he wrote, because he's speaking, he's saying things. And even if we look at a situation or we analyze the situation or we do something different, we connect it because of that universal truth.
But
and that's
where
what
would you start, though?
But you got to pick the moment. You got to identify that moment. Like, for example, let's just say like you had like a family member who was really, really close to you and you lost that person. and the way you lived your life before that person was one way, and then you started living your life a different way after you lost that person. That's the universal truth. That's the transformative moment. These are the things that you are fighting for when you're writing memoir.
Thank you.
And the emotional journey will come out of that, but you got to identify that moment.
Okay. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Hey, so I did have a question, but I am going to instead share something else with the audience because I think it may be helpful for them. However, first, I just want to say that I heard you speak with David Brooks, and you're far more invaluable, in my opinion.
Thank you.
And
he had better shoes.
I know. He has a much wider audience. He has a lot of, anyway. But also, like Ross Gay was our Maryland One Book Club winner this last year. And it was really disturbing when I heard him say that he's really tired of Black porn. And I don't think he knows the history of like Sapphire fighting to do, like that was, Sapphire wrote the story that
Push.
Push was the story and was made into a film. But anyway, it's really difficult to fight for genuine stories. And I love that you are support and validation for the real disenfranchised voices have to do with those who come from nothing are up against astronomical adversity, or kids in the system, kids whose parents, like not everyone has the luxury of options and choices. That I find that a lot of people who get platforms to speak, they come from advantages and they don't realize that they're helping to not allow the voices like yours to be spoken. So I just wanted to thank you, like sincerely, for continuing to be you, basically. But a really great resource is Michaela Cole. She's the one who was the writer, director, actor for Chewing Gum, and then later I Will Destroy You. On YouTube, she won the McTaggart Award, and so there's a lecture on YouTube. So look up Michaela Cole McTaggart lecture, and she gives. You can also research, she's put out information on how to write and do these things in a way that the system doesn't really allow. So her whole talk is helping to advocate too for people to get the disenfranchised voices.
She's amazing. She's so amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. And my other one is Paul Robeson has been one of my heroes since I was he passed away in 1976. So I was 6 or 7 years old, and I got to see some amazing stuff and hear some amazing stuff since then. But specifically for you, Paul Robeson. Yeah, okay. Yeah. It's that good, guys. 3 times. This is my 5th time reading it too. So yeah. Okay. So Here I Stand by Paul Robeson, if you haven't read it yet. Amazing mind who got so bullied, McCarthy era, and I'll let it go. But thank you, seriously.
Thank
I
you.
love you.
Did Ross Gay write the Book of Delights?
Yeah, Book of Delights.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm a little anxious, but let me get into it. So this is a continuation from what you said earlier about making trauma into something good. So I was saying, what is any advice that you have on where to put trauma and have the ability to keep going and make something great out of it?
The main thing is to acknowledge that it exists and understand that, again, we living in this social world where we only see the good. We only see the finished product. We only see, we don't see the hard work that these fellas put in when they build these houses. We see the actual finished product, right? But it's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And that's just like a metaphor for everything. Yes, earlier I said I wrote 8 books or whatever, but what people may not know is that I was just telling my good friend Wallace earlier that I submitted to over 500 literary agents before one would sign me. It took her 3 years. I got 3 years of rejections before I got my first contract, and I got a terrible deal because no one in the industry at that time cared about anybody from my region talking about anything that we were talking about at that particular time. So there's a whole lot of I didn't start out with HBO. I started out writing for places where I had to pay them to publish me, which is terrible. But I'm very, very transparent about that because rejection and pain and trauma is part of a human experience. And I don't even know what we would be if we lived lives where just only good stuff happened all of the time. It's not realistic. And I think obviously you don't want to see bad stuff happen to nobody, but at the same time, we need some of these experiences to truly and fully appreciate the good ones, or there would be no balance. So I would say acknowledge it because it's real, but continue to be great, continue to work hard, continue to show love, continue to be the best person you can be, regardless of who's watching or what the situation is, and you'll win.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And vice versa back to you for real. Cause it's been like 3 years since I seen you, so
it's been a minute.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think. I feel like it was like the Pikesville Library.
It was here.
No, it was here. look at my old memory.
I think that's all the time we have for tonight. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Folks, I appreciate this. I appreciate the conversation. I appreciate your questions. The last 5 programs we've had have been incredibly engaging. It's nice to have everybody back in the building. So Dee's going to sign some books. He's going to sign right there at the table where my colleague Sophia is standing. Do me a favor and line up behind Sophia. She's going to give you a Post-it note as well as a pen for any personalizations. And Joe from Charm City Books is outside. He can sell you a book and you can come back in. Thanks again for coming out.
Y'all gonna make me